my name is Nishad Noor and welcome to Millennium Headlines. This week's top headlines are Trump betting on McMaster in South Carolina runoff. President Donald Trump is going all in for a South Carolina governor in a tense runoff election, betting this his last-minute appearance will help make the difference. Trump was campaigning Monday for Republican Governor Henry McMaster in West Columbia, returning the favor after McMaster provided Trump with an early endorsement in his presidential campaign. Monday's rally carries some political risk for the president if McMaster gets tripped up in the Tuesday's primary. Trump arrived nearly an hour late due to weather conditions. McMaster was among those waiting on the airport tarmac to greet the president. Vice President Mike Pence joined McMaster at a campaign event on Saturday, and the president has deployed his massive Twitter following on McMaster's behalf in recent days. Trump noted Monday that he was traveling to one of my favorite places, South Carolina, to fight for one of my original fighters, Governor Henry McMaster. South Carolina Republican voters are choosing between McMaster and Greenville businessman John Warren in a runoff for the GOP gubernatorial nomination. McMaster received the most votes in a June 12th primary but fell short of the 50% needed to win the nomination outright, giving Warren an opening. Trump, predicting a red wave in the fall midterm elections, has been holding rallies and campaign events on behalf of several Republicans in recent weeks. He staged one of his signature rallies last week to tout congressional candidates in Minnesota and raise money in Las Vegas on Saturday for Nevada Senator Dean Heller, on one of the most endangered Republican senators of the 2018 ballot. Walk or die, Algeria stands 13,000 migrants in the Sahara. From the isolated frontier posed deep in the sands of the Sahara, the expelled migrants can be seen coming over the horizon by the hundreds. They look like specks in the distance, trudging miserably across some of the world's most unforgiving terrain in the blistering sun. They are the ones who made it out alive. Here in the desert, Algeria has abandoned more than 13,000 people in the past 14 months, including pregnant women and children, stranding them without food or water and forcing them to walk, sometimes at gunpoint, under temperatures of up to 48 degrees Celsius. In Niger, where the majority had the lucky ones limp across a desolate 15-kilometer no man's land to Asamaka, less a town than a collection of unsteady buildings sinking into drifts of sand. Others, disoriented and dehydrated, wander for days before a UN rescue squad can find them. Untold numbers perish along the way. Nearly all the more than 24 survivors interviewed by the Associated Press told of people in their groups who simply could not go on and vanished into the Sahara. Women were lying dead, other people got missing in the desert because they didn't know the way, said Janet Kamara, who was pregnant at the time. Everybody was just on their own. Her body still aches from the dead baby she gave birth to during the trek and to left behind in the Sahara, buried in a shallow grave in the molten sand. Blood streaked her legs for days afterward, and weeks later her ankles were still swollen. Now in Arlit, Niger, she is reeling from the time she spent in what she calls the wilderness, sleeping in the sand. Quietly, in a voice almost devoid of feeling, she recalled at least 2 nights in the open before her group was finally rescued, but said she lost track of time. I lost my son, my child, said Kamara, a librarian who ran her own home business selling drinks and food in Algeria and was expelled in May. What's next for Turkey after vote grants Erdogan vast powers? Recep Tayyip Erdogan is ushering in a new era for Turkey after weekend elections saw him win a presidency, granting him the vastly expanded executive powers he has long sought. But his governing party saw its parliamentary majority slip, leaving him reliant on the support of a small nationalist party. Critics have reacted with alarm to Erdogan's victory, saying the results usher in what will effectively be one-man rule, putting someone with increasingly autocratic and intolerant tendencies at the helm of a strategically significant NATO country. The fate of Turkey's increasingly shaky economy is critical, and much will depend on how Erdogan handles it. In his victory speech, he said his goal was to make his country one of the world's top 10 economies by 2023, the centenary of the Turkish Republic. But how he will achieve this is unclear. Turkey has been hit by rising inflation and a struggling currency, which has lost about 20% of its value against the dollar since the start of this year. Although the country's economy grew by about 7% last year, analysts warned that that was largely fueled by unsustainable grandiose construction projects. Faidi Hakuru of the London-based Chatham House think tank predicted that Turkey is heading toward an economic crisis in the next 5 years, but noted there were no signs of Erdogan would change course in the economy. Erdogan, Hakuru noted, is obsessed with the super high growth rate was beyond the capacity of the Turkish economy, and that's what will lead to economic ruin in Turkey. Prince William arrives in Israel for historic royal visit. Prince William arrived in Israel on Monday for the first ever official visit of a member of the British royal family to the tumultuous region London once ruled. Arriving from neighboring Jordan, the Duke of Cambridge landed at Israel's Ben Gurion International Airport and then departed to Jerusalem, where he will stay at the elegant King David Hotel, site of the former administrative headquarters of the British Mandate. 3 decades of British rule between the 2 world wars helped establish some of the fault lines of today's Israeli-Palestinian conflicts, and Britain's withdrawal in 1948 led to the eventual establishment of Israel and Jordan. Britain has since taken a back seat to the United States in mediating peace efforts, and the royal family has mostly steered clear of the region's toxic politics. For the 36-year-old William, second in line for the throne, it makes a high-profile visit that could burnish his international credentials. Though the trip is being billed as non-political and places a special emphasis on technology and joint Israeli-Arab projects, William will also meet with Israeli and Palestinian leaders when visiting landmark Jerusalem sites at the heart of the century-old conflict. On Tuesday, he will visit Jerusalem's Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial, where he will meet 2 survivors who escaped Nazi Germany for the safety of Britain. The memorial has recognized Prince William's great-grandmother, Princess Alice, as righteous among the nations for her role in rescuing Jews during the Holocaust. The prince will meet Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu before heading to coastal Tel Aviv to attend a football game of young Jewish and Arab players. He'll also meet the mayor of Tel Aviv and attend a reception the Britain ambassador is holding in his honor. Bangladesh new army chief takes charge. The newly appointed Army Chief Lieutenant General Aziz Ahmed took over his charge on Monday as the Chief of Bangladesh Army for the next 3 years as his predecessor General Abu Bilal Mohammed Shafiul Haq went on retirement. Earlier in the morning, the outgoing Army Chief placed floral wreaths at the Shika Anirban, the Eternal Flame, and paid tributes to the martyrs of the country's War of Independence in 1971, said an Inter-Services Public Relations press release. He was given a Guard of Honor at Senakunja and cantonment and bid farewell according to army tradition, the release added. Earlier on 18 June, the government appointed Quartermaster General of Bangladesh Army Lieutenant Gen Aziz Ahmed as the new Army Chief. The Ministry of Defense issued a Gazette notification on the same day in the regard, saying that his appointment will come into effect on 25th June. As Major General Aziz Ahmed previously performed as the Director General of Border Guard Bangladesh and the GOC of 33 Infantry Division stationed at Kumilla Cantonment. Thank you for watching Millennium Headlines. This has been Nishat Noor, and see you next week.